It's 3 in the morning here in Mount Fuji, and I'm off chasing stars and sunrises. Where's a coffee vending machine when you need one? So yesterday at sunrise, when I was walking towards the location, I saw stars, and I was actually kind of surprised. I didn't think you'd see stars as clearly as I saw them so close to Tokyo as I did yesterday morning. So it got wheels spinning. The wheels were spinning. Maybe I can shoot star photography of Mount Fuji. So yesterday, out of curiosity, when I was shooting sunset, I opened PhotoPills, which is this app where you can see where like the Milky Way is going to be at certain times. And it actually showed the core of the Milky Way directly over Mount Fuji at about 4 this morning. So it's now 3:30, and I'm gonna be fighting sunrise. I'm gonna be fighting a lot of light from the city, and I'm gonna be fighting a new moon that's just rising over that way. But I'm still gonna try to photograph the Milky Way over Mount Fuji. Let's walk to where I was shooting sunset yesterday, get set up, and hopefully I can knock off a shot before the light comes up. I'm not sure how well you'll be able to see me, but I'm sitting in the dark. There's definitely Milky Way above Mount Fuji. I'm not sure it's the core, but there's definitely Milky Way there. There is also a ton of ambient light. It's really glowing orange right around Mount Fuji. But I think this is one of those images, I have no idea if I'm gonna like it or not until I get home and I can edit it. In fact, this is one of those images I might even need to go onto YouTube and find a tutorial on how to edit it, because there's just so much ambient light that I kind of need one of those master editing tutorials on how to really pull out the Milky Way and the stars in a situation like this. So I don't know. I have no idea. On the back of the screen it looks blown out. I think that it'll be okay though. I have the 14mm on right now, f2.8 by Rokinon, and I'm just messing around with that. I think it's probably too wide. I also had the 16-35 on before, which I think was probably the ideal length, but it's f4, so I could really only shoot at ISO 3200. And now I think I'm gonna try something different. I think actually I'm gonna try details and stars. I've got my 50mm in my pocket. I'm gonna try to get just the bridge and Mount Fuji and some stars. And then I might even pull out the 70-200 and just try to get the top of Mount Fuji with the stars above it. I don't know if that'll work out, but I wanna try something different today. So let's continue shooting. Just grabbing a quick vending machine coffee before heading off to my sunrise location. There's a lot of things I'm gonna miss about Japan. None more than vending machine hot coffees on sunrise shoots. So good. The star photography I think went really well. I honestly had no idea I was gonna be able to do star photography at Mount Fuji. I just thought it was way too close to Tokyo. And I think all the different focal lengths I tried, I think that I like the wide angle stuff the best, even if it makes Mount Fuji look a little bit small. And there at the end, I tried something different. I tried something I don't think I've ever done before. I tried melding the star photography into blue hour. So I'm not sure you can be able to tell because it's still pretty dark, but blue hour started about 15 minutes ago. And what I just did was a 16-minute exposure that started with darkness, pure darkness, and then kind of blended into the start of blue hour. So I got stars and I got blue light, and I got quite a bit of light from the early morning light, I guess, hitting Mount Fuji as well. And it was tricky, and a bit of a guess, but what I ended up doing is I just figured out my exposure at 30 seconds, and that was f4 ISO 1600 for 30 seconds. And then if you've ever shot star photography, star trails, or really long exposure stuff like this, you know that you split the ISO in half while doubling the shutter speed to maintain the exact same exposure. So you go ISO 1600 30 seconds, ISO 800 that's 1 minute, ISO 400 2 minutes, ISO 200 2 minutes, ISO 100 8 minutes. I wanted about 16-minute exposure, so I added another stop by going to f5.6. And then it was totally a guess that over that 16-minute period, as blue hour was rising, it was going to be another one-stop adjustment in the light, and that it's getting brighter outside. So I went again, f-stop, up one stop to F8. And yeah, I think it came out pretty cool. Star photography at Mount Fuji. Who knew? I'm gonna finish this coffee. I'm gonna start this coffee actually before it gets cold. And then I'm gonna hike over to my sunrise spot. I'm on location. I came by here yesterday. This is the bridge that you cross to get to where I was this morning and yesterday. And I saw this from the road and I like this spot because of the potential for a foreground. What I'm finding with this lake is it's really, really hard to find a foreground for the image. And most images you see of Mount Fuji are a little bit dull because there's no foreground, and I'm starting to understand why. It's kind of a challenge to find one. So I think we're gonna rely on reflections this morning and hopefully some good light. And yeah, there's not really as much of a foreground here as I hoped, but there's some nice clouds on the mountain. Hopefully when the sunrise pops up, we'll get some light. So the light's done basically exactly what I expected it to do and hoped it would do. It's now lighting up the top of Mount Fuji with some alpenglow. The clouds or whatever that is kicking off the top of Mount Fuji, it was getting a little bit of light. But interestingly enough, there's not a lot of color in the sky and I don't really understand why. Just one of those things, I guess. I was hoping for some pinks and yellows and oranges, and really I just got blue sky and maybe a hint of yellow. From a shot perspective, I went really simple. I couldn't find a foreground, so I went with simplicity. 70 to 200, nothing in the foreground except for a strip of water, town, and then the mountain. Sometimes when things are this incredible, you don't need to go crazy and find like this insane composition. You just need to keep things simple. So, keeping things simple this morning. The Fuji is impressive. It is beyond impressive. Such an incredible spot. Definitely tough to photograph though, just because it's really hard to find a foreground here, other than the temple I went to yesterday. But like I said, beautiful spot, beautiful morning, and yeah, I'm stoked with how this morning went. Now, I promised you guys yesterday or maybe the day before that I was going to show you this Japanese house that I'm staying at that has the onsen inside. So let's go back home, maybe have a nap for a bit, and then I'll show you around that house. I just woke up from the most epic nap ever. This is my room, traditional room. I've kind of made a massive mess. I made the bed right here, and then I have the desk set up there. And yeah, this is a traditional room, but it is a disaster zone because I've just been smashing back work, trying to get caught up or almost caught up before heading to Patagonia. So it's a disaster zone. I'm sorry that it's a disaster zone. I showed you this room a couple days ago. In Japan, you sleep on the floor, or at least traditionally you do, and it's cool. The coolest part though of this room is that I've got views straight out at Mount Fuji. How crazy is that? The other cool thing about this particular guest house is the bath. So I'm gonna go take a bath with you guys. So you might remember my episode a while ago about using the onsen way back on Hokkaido Island. Here at this guest house, they have private onsen. This is Hot Springs Man. And Hot Springs Man is this here hot spring. And you turn it on like this, press that button, and I've got my own private hot spring here. Now, I'm gonna get changed, and normally you do this naked, but for camera purposes, swim trunks. You ditch all your clothes out here. They give you this towel, and this is what I like to call the nudity towel. At all the hot springs in Japan, the guys have these towels covering their manhood. And then in here, you have the bath. And it's loud, I'm sorry. I'm actually gonna turn off the bath for a second. So the process in Japan is you have these sitting areas. So until fairly recently in history in Japan and most of the world, people didn't have baths in their houses. They had to go to public baths. So I'm not sure the history on this place, but this is like a public bath. And you have 4 stalls, actually 5 stalls in here, and basically you kneel down in this spot. You've got soap, you've got shampoo, you've got everything you need, and then you shower yourself off with that thing. Once you're cleaned, you can enter into the hot spring, which is here. You're gonna take off the lid, and then you get in. Ooh, that's hot. So guys, that's it. I will see you tomorrow as I head back to Tokyo. Tomorrow, I'm staying in a capsule in Tokyo. Yeah, you heard that right. I guess I'll see you there. Peace.